Hello and welcome. I'm Jennifer Gallagher, and I am here as part of the creative team for StencilGirl Products. I have prepared this tutorial for this month's theme, Frame It or Fill It with Circles. And if you know me well, or follow me on Instagram or on my blog at papergeometry.wordpress, you'll know how much I love geometric shapes. So it was a no-brainer. We're going to fill it with circles. So I am working in my square Dina Wakely Media Journal, and the background I am building will be made completely out of the Marabou art crayons. If you are not familiar with this product, it is a watercolor crayon, and so that means it is water soluble. So beforehand, off camera, I have put a thick layer of clear gesso to prepare the surface in my journal. Then I spritzed a little bit of water on both pages and have begun the process with the crayons of just scribbling and then moving the color around with a wet brush. The background will be built with 3 colors in the art crayons. The first you're seeing me use here is Sunshine Yellow, which will be followed by Caramel and then Chili. If you don't have these art crayons, you could build a background with an acrylic wash by just watering down some acrylic paint. You could even do a watercolor background wash if you like. And here you can see I have added the second color, Caramel, and I'm just doing the same technique, and this does not require perfection. I am drawing it on in squares. You could just scribble it around. There's no exact technique to this because they do react with water. We do not have to use a specific technique to apply them. You could try this in a different color set. I am using a warm background. You could use whatever colors you like, but we're moving from a light to a medium to a dark. And now I'm just going back in and adding a little additional color in a few places. We do want to keep the properties of the sort of watercolor wash. We're not trying to get super deep, dark areas, but I just wanted to add a little extra here and there. Now I'll be applying Deco Art Americana Premium Heavy Gel Medium in Gloss through the Random Circles stencil. I'm using a palette knife and just putting on an even coat across both pages. This product will dry with a gloss finish, but it will also leave behind some slight grooves in the circular shapes that we will use to come back with ink to finish creating our background. I have allowed the heavy gel medium to completely dry before moving on to the next step. I am using Dr. P.H. Martin's Bombay India ink in sepia. I have a little bit of water setting to the side, and I will dip a small paintbrush into water and then into the ink, and you can see here I'm just going around in the circular grooves that we have created with the heavy gel medium. It's not a super thick groove, but it is a thin grooved area that we have built into our background. It allows us to control and maintain the water that we are applying. Now, I am not putting a ton of water down, but a little bit here and there, and allowing the ink to be dark in some places and lighter in others. I'm going back in with Sunshine Yellow and Chili in the art crayons. I'm smearing the color on and using my fingertip to push the color around. I'm not diluting any of the color this time with water. And now I'm adding a new color in the art crayons, Aqua Green. I'll be following around the outside edges of the spread and adding this color in the same manner by just rubbing the crayon around and spreading the color with my finger. Now, you might be thinking to yourself that I'm making a giant mess. It does look a little messy right now and even somewhat disjointed. Just stay with me. I promise this comes together. So now I'm going back in with the Sepia India ink, darkening some areas and filling in around some in the corners. I'm just trying to ground the piece a little more. And in places where you feel like maybe you've added too much or it's a little too dark, don't remove it all. Just maybe just tamp it down lightly with a baby wipe or a wet rag. And that's the great thing about working with the ink is it stays wet for quite a while. You can move things around and really play with it until you get it how you like it. Now, just for some fun interest, I am taking some Marabou Art Spray in silver. I'm just unscrewing the lid and tapping my finger against it to spread the silver dots around the surface. Then I'll go back with a short bristled brush and white acrylic paint and do the same with the white. So after going in with black acrylic paint and framing out the edges of our page, we'll let that totally dry. And now I'm going back in with a white jelly roll pen, and it's very easy to use this pen on the India ink portion of our background. And I'll close up here for you so you can better see. I'm going in very loosely and doodling around on the India ink part of each circle. We'll do this same technique on both sides of our art journal spread. And now I will finish this art journal spread by applying a piece of Dina Wakley Media collage tissue with some matte medium. I'm using Liquitex Basics, but any brand of matte medium will be fine. Apply a little bit to the front and to the back, coating it evenly with a brush. And that does it for this art journal spread. I think that this technique would work really well with a variety of designs and stencils and even color stories. I hope you have found this tutorial useful and a source of inspiration. Thank you so much for being with me today for StencilGirl Products. Until next time.
Thanks for watching. StencilGirl would love to spark even more of your creativity with technique videos and more. Just click on the links below and you're all ready to stencil.